You doing better, David?
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks. I think I just entered a state of it is what it is, and I'm just keeping on keeping on.
I noticed you haven't read any TTRPGs this week. You got some announcement again?
Not really, but kind of. I'll be honest, I want to try something out, but let's go into this a bit. I love movies. My grandpa essentially took the place of my own father growing up, and he often took me to work when my own mother couldn't watch me. So I spent a lot of time in movie theaters because that was what my grandpa did. So, I like movies. A lot. YouTube's free with ads movies are a great boon for me. I want to do some movie reviews. I talked about the idea a little bit, but I don't want to do this weekly. Doing only 2 videos a week is a lot of time, surprisingly enough. So, I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to keep in theme with my channel name, Old Campaign. I'm going to talk about some older movies, and it'll just be whenever the hell I feel like it. When will that be? Once a month? Once a year? Who knows? We'll see. But the first movie I want to talk about is my favorite film of all time, 12 Angry Men from 1957. I specify that date because there are 3 versions of this film. The TV play from 1955, the theater movie from 1957, and the remake from 1997. Now, I've not seen the TV play or the 97 version of it, but the 1957 film is, in my great opinion, the greatest film of all time. I could give an entire plot synopsis if I wanted to, but I want you to watch this film. It's a beautiful piece of artwork, and I actually kinda hate when reviews do that, where they just give the entire plot. Despite the fact I watch Elvis the Alien and Possum reviews, both who do this, ironic. So, let's talk about the general description of the movie. The entire film follows an American jury debating a court case. The case is the event of a kid, something like 15 to 18, murdering someone. I can't remember if it was a stranger or their father or what, but the film isn't about the case itself, it's about the jury. It shows the American justice system, how it's supposed to work, but whether it does or doesn't, it really doesn't. It should work the way the movie depicts, and it may have at some point, but unfortunately in the modern world, it just doesn't. The movie starts in a scene in a courtroom, hearing the final statements of the lawyers. I think specifically the defense attorney, but again, I can't quite recall. The vast majority of the rest of the movie, aside from the closing number, takes place in a single room, the juror's room. Every single character has a voice. Every character in the film is a full-ass character. Somehow even the fan in the room is a character. It's a ceiling fan or rotary fan or something. The light is also a character. Each of these things is very important to the film, even if normally inconsequential. What does that mean though? Well, the dark lights and the fan all lead to high levels of aggression, certain actions as characters talk, debate, and discuss, and reactions to specific situations. What might feel like nothing ends up being extremely important, even if you don't really notice. Now, I'll admit, with this movie, I first watched it when I was sick after an early situation being diabetic. Forgot to order more insulin, and ketoacidosis is a lot of a bitch. But my first time watching it, I had to be 9 years old, I think? It was on TMC, Turner Classic Movies. Read that out loud, and I'm realizing TCM, TMC, it's one or the other. That started my love for this station. As long as we had access to that station, I flipped to it to see what movie was on. If it was 12 Angry Men, I stopped, sit, and enjoyed. I remember my grandma visiting once, and she was on the couch trying to talk to me, and I sat with her on the edge of my seat watching the movie. My granny and I have some strange relations, but that's a whole other story. But this movie, despite how many times I've seen it, will always hold a special place in my heart. There's no reason it should mean anything to me, but let's talk about my praises of the film. Acting. I'll say, way back when, actors were not hired because you knew their name. You know how many actors my grandpa, grandma, and mama can name from back in their day? Like, 2, maybe? The dad character from Bonanza is pretty much it. Oh, Jerry Mathers too, maybe? Huh, the beaver's still around. Neat. But films were always like that. You didn't see a movie for the actor. You saw the movie because you read about it in a newspaper or heard about it from a friend. Modern movies often try and sell their actors, not the film. Illumination, Disney, Universal, they all hire names to sell a film, and I hate that. This film, it is pure emotion. From beginning, the actors are sitting there. Each character just wants to get out. They cast their votes expecting it to be a simple in and out. One person disagrees, and the fighting immediately starts. And it sure is fighting, yelling, screaming, arguing, listening, talking, and just pure emotion. Each character gets a story. Every person in that room shows their hides. Every person there is just unbridled emotion. It's all a 10 out of 10. Some of these guys are new actors. The main actor is also the producer, and some claim he's also helped in writing and directing. Normally, films that do that are shit. I'll stand by, The Room is shit. It's hilariously bad, but it's still shit. This film is the opposite. Scenes are another theme. A single room, technically 3 if you count the courtroom and outside of the courthouse scenes. A single room is difficult to do. It's greatly cheap, but difficult to perform. You can argue a lot of movies do this. Movies that start in an interrogation room and have every other scene be a flashback, making it technically take place in a single room, but I don't count that as a single scene. One scene films are insanity, purely talking with almost no show, but somehow this film is so much. It shows physical acting, verbal acting, characters involved in the scene are also acting their acting. The story is my final point. It's a single story, but somehow it tells 12 different ones. Each juror gets their own story over the course of the film, and this film is just an hour and a half, including credits. And despite being such a short film, it gives everyone some sort of arc. You know what? Let's talk about a few trivia about this film. Did you know that the director, Sidney Lumet, kept all the actors in the same room for hours on end, repeating the same scenes over and over without filming them, just to get them to feel what it'd be like to be in such a situation? The clock on the wall during the last bit of the film has some weird jumping situations going on. Simple mistakes, but it happens. Rehearsals for the film were done in 2 weeks, while the entire film was done in less than a month. That was a month of these guys just doing the exact same things every day, often without filming, just to film everything on 1 or 2 takes. The final credits are in order of juror number. which puts the face of the film, Henry Fonda, as the 8th credited actor despite being the primary actor. He also never made a dime off of the film because he was also a producer and it failed to profit at the theaters. In my opinion, 12 Angry Men is the greatest film ever. If I wanted to give it a score, I'd give it a 797. Are there mistakes? Probably, but I refuse to see them. I recommend you find this movie, and I don't think it's free on YouTube right now, but I'm certain you can find places where MGM will still sell it, so go, find it. It's worth your money, I tell you, and shove off.